Welcome back, guys. Today we have a special video, a special job. Today we have a Nintendo Switch board with a bad attempted charging port replacement. Customer brought it in. Looks like they try to replace the USB port themselves, and as you can see here on the video on the microscope, the pads were lifted. The problem with these is that once you lift them from underneath, that chip, that port right here, it's really hard to get them back on there. You have to retrace those with jumper wire. And so that's what we're going to do today. I like to keep the videos very simple as possible. So we're going to try something a little different today. I see that there is some, as you can see, I retouched some of the pins already. Okay, when I removed it, we're going to retouch these pins here. We'll be adding a little bit of jumper wire here to this terminals here, these sections here. We could reroute these, bend the pins on the port here, like bend them forward, backward, you can say, and then do it from the other side. But I think we can get away with adding a piece of wire, cutting it, and then these we can just do from the back, from the top. So I prepared a few things already. I prepared a chip, a charging port here. As you can see, I retouched the pins. We're going to retouch them again here shortly. Actually, no, we're not. We're just going to leave it as is because I already retouched them with some solder. Okay, so we are going to simply add some jumper wire here on these 4 pins or pads, and we're going to turn it over, solder it, and see if it charges and if it works. So let me get my thinnest jumper wire, 48 WG gauge. Hopefully we can bring this Nintendo Switch back to life. So we're going to start by cutting a piece of this wire here. We have some solder paste, we have some solder wire, we have some flux prepared, and let's do this. Let's tin our iron tip. Now this is probably the easiest way to do it. I'll try to be very careful and succeed in this. This is the wire that I'll be using. I like to do this. Put some flux in here a little bit. Okay. Get some solder. Kind of pre-tin the wire because it's insulated. We don't want it insulated here anymore. And then do this here. Well, let me add some flux. And now we're going to make a mess. Mess of solder. So that's the idea, okay? Now that we did one, we want to cut this right there and leave that exposing so that the pads on the chip on the USB port touch the corresponding leg, okay? So we repeat. And we got to do this 4 times. That looks good. I will zoom in a little bit for you guys and hopefully make it better and not worse. So that's the idea. Hopefully, when we solder back the port, this works. Let me grab some solder. As you can see, it's not that simple, but it's not that hard either. I cut that one a little bit just so that the leg sits inside of that little aperture or hole. So let's grab some solder. It's in place, and maybe I hope you guys can see there. You guys get the idea. So we will cut this again. Right about there. So we know that we have this one here, we have this one here soldered in place. This one is soldered well. And this one is soldered well. Move it right in the center. And then these we can do from the top, as well as these. And those are important points. So, and then as I showed you here earlier, I've retouched these pins on this side, retinned, I guess you can say, and so that they bond in place properly. What I'll do carefully add some more solder at the bottom tips, bottom points. Nice and big, bulgy. So we have these ones here that are better. A little more solder in there. And now we're going to lay the chip on the port on there and solder it in place, okay? For that, I'd like to get some metal plate. And sort of expose that area. Like this. So we'll be laying this on here carefully. Then we'll check with a amp meter, see if it's consuming any amps before we put it together, assemble it completely. But that is the idea. So I will start by hitting this area here. And then as soon as I know that it's melting, I will gently press right there. So right about now it should be fine. Excuse me, guys. So the pins look good. On this side they actually look great. However, not as good as I wish them to be. So I will be adding a little more flux. Those wires, the jumper wires that we use there is some pads that we can use as replacement. But honestly, I haven't found any of those pads that I like. They always wibble and move around with the tape they have inside. I don't like them much, so this should work fine. This is what I like. This is what I prefer. So we should be able to add some solder like this. Like this. I don't know which ones were. Just cleaning the tip of the solder iron. That looks good. Let me zoom in. Or focus. Even those could be probably better, we don't need to retouch anything else. We could check with a multimeter for continuity, but from my view they look solid. So let's turn it over. And solder this side, okay? That's one. There's two. We will add a little bit of heat there in a little bit. Or maybe you won't have to. I don't know if the quality on my camera is getting worse. But that looks about right. So I'm gonna go ahead, grab my amp meter, plug it into the battery for now, see if if we see any sign of life, and I'll be right back. And what I mean by amp meter is this. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So next time I make a video, we're gonna have a upper view camera, and we can then show you guys more in detail or more information about the stuff that I use. But this is the deal that I use, the USB detector. It's a simple USB that plugs into the wall outlet, and it gives you the amps and the voltage that the device is consuming, in this case the switch. And If we see that the amps is, I believe it's like 42 amps when it starts to charge, and then after it turns on like 1.2 amps, something like that, then we know that it's there's activity there, and that's good. Originally, this Nintendo Switch was not showing any sign of life, so let's see what happens now. Okay, I'll be back. I'm going to pause the video, come back, and then possibly just turn it on. I'll let you guys know what I find, okay? See you guys soon. Hello, guys. So upon assembling the Nintendo Switch, after doing the soldering job on the port, I did charge it. It did show the charging light, and here it is, fully functional, 99%. So it was a success. Those wiring, the jumper wire did work. We got very lucky. Anyways, if you guys have questions, feel free to comment, subscribe, hit like. I'll be posting some more videos in the near future. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.